Hello, everyone. So, yesterday we talked about settings within our writing, and we talked about that there's a lot of different ways that you can deal with that. You can set your story in the real world and have fantasy elements happen. You can do a hybrid where you have part in your real world, part in a fantasy world, or just your setting is a fantasy world. Today, we're going to take a different look at a part of our writing, and that's through our characters. And so, we're going to talk about characters speak in different ways. So, one way that we can really make our writing sing is that when our characters talk, they don't all sound exactly the same way. And it can be one of the more difficult things because it's one person writing it. So, we're going to write in a single way, but we need to imagine how we're going to write other characters, what they're going to sound like as well. So we want to think about these characters as real people, even our fantasy characters. We want to think about them as real people. And if they're talking, what do they sound like? What is their voice? Is it gruff and low? Is it high and squeaky? Right? Is the cadence really fast? Do they use slang? Do they speak a different language? Do they have dialects and accents? So you really want to really consider all your characters. How do they sound in your head? And how do you make that come out in your writing? So, for example, we want to think about those characters as unique. They're all going to sound unique. So, as we go back and as you finish that first draft, finish the first draft and then go back and really start looking at your characters. How do they speak? And really thinking about how do they sound? How do they just speak in general? So, for example, when we look at this next, we want to think about distinct, clear voices so that they're different from others. Um, Short clip sentences. Do they just say, like, if they're really grumpy, they might only say a word or two? If they're from a different part of fictional land, fantasy land, they may sound completely different. They may not use words that make sense to you as a reader, but it seems like it's completely clear. And maybe somebody has to actually translate for them. So it sounds like they are speaking the same language you are, but then again, it doesn't. Do they have a distinct phrase? Like when we were looking at, even though this is realistic, Freddy Go Zoom, like that was what he said, and that was one of his defining features. So is there a phrase that that character says over and over again? And then accent or dialect. And even your fictional characters should have their own way of speaking. So we've got the White Rabbit here. Think about it. The White Rabbit is always saying they're late. So has a catchphrase. Always the speech is very rapid, always in a hurry. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Kind of speaking that fits this particular character. And then when you think of a snake, they're going to have that sound when they have their S's, right? If you've got things like that, you should be putting that into your writing as well. So your characters should have distinct voices, and there are particular ideas that you can go back to. Like it's not really creative to make a snake go "Sss." However, it is kind of expected and known, and it is the way that you would typically write a snake. Now, if you switched it and made the rabbit slow and the snake really fast, that would be interesting, but those are the choices you need to make as a writer. Okay, continue working on your drafts. If you guys have any questions, let me know.